Tonight, you will do something that would have been completely impossible for almost every human who ever lived. You will keep the night away, you will push back the darkness with the flick of a switch, and you won't think twice about it. But here's the thing, that darkness you are escaping, your brain was built inside it. And what happened to humans during those long, pitch black nights shaped everything about who you are today. For the first 290,000 years of human existence, there was no candle, no lamp, no fire you could reliably keep alive through the night. When the sun went down, the world did not get dim. It got completely, utterly black. A darkness so total that you genuinely could not see your own hand in front of your face. Modern humans almost never experience this. We sleep with streetlights coming through curtains. We charge our phones next to our beds. We live in a world where darkness has become something you have to go looking for. But your ancestors did not choose that darkness. They had no choice. It was simply the world. And inside that world, inside that terrifying, total blackness, human beings were doing something extraordinary. The oldest solid evidence of humans deliberately controlling fire comes from Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, dated to roughly 1 million years ago. But fire was not just warmth. It was not just protection from predators, though it was that too. A campfire creates a circle of safety approximately 30 feet across. Inside that circle, large predators will not come. Outside that circle, in the dark, you are prey. But fire gave humans something that no other species on Earth had ever had before. It gave them extra time. Before fire, when the sun went down, that was it. The useful day was over. You found shelter and you waited. After fire, humans suddenly had 2 to 4 extra hours every single night. Hours that were warm and safe and illuminated, and over hundreds of thousands of years, what humans did with those hours rewired the human species from the inside out. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years recording conversations among the Jew/Hwanzi Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups on Earth still living close to the original human way of life. What she discovered was striking. During the day, about 80% of conversations were practical. Where to hunt, which plants were edible, negotiations and complaints. Daytime talk was work. But at night, around the fire, everything changed. Over 80% of nighttime conversations were stories, myths about the origins of the world, tales of people in distant places, jokes that made the whole group laugh. Wiesner argued that this is where human culture was literally born. The campfire was the original theater, the original classroom, the original place of worship. It is where humans first learned to imagine things that did not exist yet. Futures, gods, ideas. It is, in a very real sense, where the human mind became what it is today. But here is where it gets truly strange. Because the biggest secret about human nights, the thing that was hiding in plain sight for centuries, is not about fire at all. It is about sleep itself. In 2001, historian Roger E. Kirch published a paper that quietly changed everything we thought we understood about rest. He had spent 16 years digging through historical records from across centuries, court documents, church records, private diaries, medical manuals, letters between ordinary people, and buried in all of it, he found over 500 separate references to the same thing: first sleep and second sleep. Before the Industrial Revolution, before gas lamps, before electric light, people did not sleep in one continuous block the way we do. They slept for around 4 hours. Then they woke up. They stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night, and then they slept again for another 4 hours until dawn. This was not insomnia. This was not a disorder. This was simply how every human being on the planet slept for thousands of years. And what exactly did people do during that strange quiet window in the middle of the night? Everything. A 16th century French doctor recommended that couples try to have children during this period because they would be more relaxed and more likely to succeed. People visited neighbors. They prayed. They interpreted the dreams they had just had while the images were still sharp and fresh. Writers wrote. Thinkers thought. A medical manual from the 1500s specifically advised that the best time for serious study and deep reflection was during what it called the watch. The quiet hours between first sleep and second sleep, when the house was still, the world was dark, and the mind was in a state that nothing else could produce. For centuries, historians kept reading those references to first sleep and second sleep and translating them as something else, because they simply could not imagine that human sleep had ever been different from what they knew. The assumption was so deep that scholars were literally mistranslating ancient Greek and medieval Latin to make it fit modern experience. And then, in 1992, psychiatrist Thomas Ware at the National Institute of Mental Health decided to test it. He took a group of volunteers and removed all artificial light from their lives. For 1 month, they experienced 14 hours of darkness every night, roughly what our ancestors would have had before fire extended the evening hours. Within weeks, without being told to, without any suggestion at all, every single participant had naturally settled into the same pattern: 4 hours of sleep, 1 to 3 hours of quiet wakefulness, 4 more hours of sleep. Their bodies just did it, as if something ancient had been waiting underneath the surface the entire time. But here is the part that changes everything. Ware measured the hormone levels of his participants during that wakeful window between the two sleeps. And what he found was unlike anything in normal waking life. Their brains were producing elevated levels of prolactin, the same hormone released during meditation, during deep relaxation, and after intimacy. The participants described the experience as peaceful, still, almost meditative. It was not just a gap in sleep. It was a distinct state of consciousness, one that most modern humans have never experienced in their entire lives. We did not just change how we sleep when we invented artificial light, we erased an entire mode of human awareness, a quiet, reflective space that existed every single night for hundreds of thousands of years. Gone, replaced by late-night television and the blue glow of a phone screen. The destruction happened gradually, then all at once. In the 1600s, European cities began installing street lamps. Paris under Louis XIV, then London. Cheaper candles arrived, then gas lamps in the early 1800s. Then in 1879, Thomas Edison commercialized the electric light bulb. And within a single generation, the night as humans had known it for 300,000 years simply ceased to exist. The word curfew, by the way, comes from the French couvre-feu. It literally means cover the fire. In medieval towns, a bell would ring at night, telling everyone to extinguish their flames. Not for fire safety, but because night was supposed to be dark. Night was the time you were vulnerable, the time you slept. Walking outside after dark without a lamp was not just unusual in many European cities, it was illegal. Night belonged to darkness. And then we decided that was a problem to be fixed. Your body cannot tell the difference between sunlight and a phone screen. When light hits the back of your eye at 11 p.m., your brain does not know it is artificial. It registers it as daylight. It delays the release of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep. It shifts your entire internal clock forward by hours. Research has shown that people who spend just 1 week camping with no artificial light at all, no phone, no lamp, nothing, have their melatonin cycles reset by nearly 2 full hours. Their bodies begin producing the sleep hormone at sunset, the way they were designed to. That is all it takes. 1 week, 300,000 years of biological programming, just waiting underneath the surface to reassert itself. So the next time you wake up at 2 in the morning and lie there staring at the ceiling, before you reach for your phone, before you decide your body is broken, before you Google why you cannot sleep, consider another possibility. What if your body is not malfunctioning? What if it is simply remembering? What if that quiet, still, dark window in the middle of the night is not insomnia at all, but the most ancient and human experience there is? Your ancestors did not call it a disorder. They had a word for it. They called it the watch, and every single night they lay in the darkness and they thought about their lives. We built a world so brilliant and so loud that we drowned out something that had been part of us since before we were fully human. We traded the campfire for the ceiling light. We traded the watch for the scroll. We traded a state of consciousness that no one even has a name for anymore, for the ability to never have to sit with our own thoughts in the dark. Most of us do not even know what we lost. We just know that something, somewhere, feels like it is missing.